This week on SV Lynx. Welcome to this week's SV Lynx video. Well, last week, due to weather whiplash with weird weather on both ends of the spectrum, we didn't get a lot of boat work accomplished, but we hope to make up for that this week and get a lot done. But before we get to that, we had some comments on some of the questions that we answered last week, and we wanted to go over a few more details on that. One commenter wrote, when looking for a used catamaran on Yacht World, you can remove the maximum length and minimum parameters and then get 85 offers that fall into acceptable price length range. A lot of them are older, but a lot of them are also twice as cheap as the price you are willing to spend on your boat, even without taking into account labor.
Right. So here's the problem with that. We have a dream. We have a goal. And our dream and our goal is to cruise around all the way around the world with not just ourselves, but Brian, some of his family, some of our family, lots of our friends. So we need a larger catamaran. And so we determined that we need a 50-foot catamaran. It's also water length matters when you're crossing things like oceans and stuff. The longer your water length, the more comfortable the ride. So for a lot of reasons, we don't want to go with a shorter length catamaran. So to take the length parameter off would mean that we are now looking at boats we don't want. And for other folks, that might be great, but if you're talking about us, and that's who we're talking about, we're building a 50-foot catamaran that has sleeping for up to 13 people, 4 cabins, big living spaces, so that we can achieve our goals of sailing around the world with a fairly large crew at times. So it really doesn't make any sense for us to take off the parameters of length. And if you don't take off the parameter of length, then you can't get a 50-foot performance catamaran for the price that we can build this kit catamaran. That's just the way it is. So,
also, there were a lot of posts last week in the comments about us adding a bow thruster from many commenters who also watch RAN Sailing.
Right, and we watch RAN Sailing as well. Love the channel. But RAN Sailing is a monohull, and when it comes to a monohull, having a bow thruster makes great sense. So it's smart of them to put that in. But it's just not true on a catamaran. And we answer some of this, our reasons why in the last post, just very briefly, because it's a very expensive, something like $18,000. It causes a lot of maintenance in marine growth down in that cavity and that prop and such in there that you have to do. And it causes drag on the hull. So these are all things that we just don't want unless there's a reason for it. And there's not really a good reason on a catamaran. Because the thing is that, again, with widely spaced props, a catamaran can spin in position. So if I want the bow to come over, I can literally spin the boat with my 2 props. I don't need a bow thruster to pull it over.
Right, and you can also, if you need to move sideways, such as into a dock, you can just take your rudders hard over and then reverse the thrust on your 2 props. This will move the cat sideways when the thrust is balanced properly with no need for that bow thruster.
Right, so since we can go sideways or we can pivot the boat with the 2 props, either one, why spend all the money, all the maintenance, and add drag to your boat? So we just see no reason for a bow thruster on a catamaran.
Another viewer, Frank, said, "Your time is valuable. It should be factored into the build cost. What will be the total man hours to build the boat?"
All right, so that's really hard to say how many man hours. We have the estimate from Schoening, which was less than it's going to take. So let's say it takes 10 to 12,000 man hours. Let's just answer that question for us, not somebody else. Professionals might be less. But for us, we're looking like 10 to 12,000. But As for factoring in that the cost of the labor, it took us 20 years to save up $500,000 to make this boat. So if we needed another $350,000 worth of labor, and where am I coming up with that number? Simply because you can have this boat built in Thailand for a grand total of $850,000. So it's around $350,000 in labor over there to have it built. If we consider that the amount of money that we have to have for labor, it would take us at the same time frame 12 more years for us to save up that extra $350,000. But we can build it ourselves in around 3 years. That saves us around 9 years before getting onto the water. So we much prefer to get on the water 9 years sooner. So that's the reason why we're not really factoring any of that in. But again, if you want to factor it in, you can have one of these built for around $850,000 over in Thailand. A little cheaper than that down in Peru. More expensive if you have it built in Australia. It just varies depending on the labor cost of places. And the reason I mention Australia is a friend of ours is building a Solitaire 1520 in Australia, and he's having it built professionally there. And the thing is he's just more well off than we are, and more power to him. I wish we were that well off. But for us, we have what we have in money, and we have the time, so we're building it. Speaking of building it ourselves, let's get to that, because we are going to get so much more done this week than last week that we've got to get started here, because we've got plenty to do and the weather to do it. Let's get going. Well, it's Monday, and we've gotten started on the next mullion here. And thank heavens it's not that last Saturday where it was supposed to be 94 and it hit 101 degrees Fahrenheit, that's Celsius. And it just caused all kinds of trouble for us, so we had to quit doing any epoxy work really early. But today, Monday, it's started out overcast and cool. The weather just doesn't know what it's decided to be. It's decided to be everything. We'll just roll with the changes. Now, I would like to have done the next layer of fairing compound up on the roof today, because it was overcast this morning. Why didn't we then? Why are we doing a mullion instead? Because even though it was blazing hot this weekend, it's going to rain tonight. The whiplash continues. So we can't do anything on the roof because it's going to rain. But we can work inside here, so that's what we're doing. Okay, that edge right there, here, is what? Is that edge up here. I see. Thank you. Got it. Now it's got to come a little bit this way. It'll somewhat hold it. So we have an over-under on how many times I'm going to smack my head on this. The over-under is 12. We're only 3 layers in and I've got 6. So what's your guess? More than 12, less than 12? Smacking my head. Try to take the mullion down onto the bulkhead and up onto the ceiling beyond just the window here, just to give it a little bit more bite and holding. The main thing is the wraps around the center, but we do
Get a little cabbing off. All right, going up top. Got my edge. Seven. Oh, there was number 8. Still, the unders are looking good. I'm at 8, and we got a 3 more layers. I don't know. That's pretty hard to say then. Nine. Damn it. Alright, we're down to 2 layers. 1 more glass, and then peel ply. This one's going a lot better than the one did on Saturday. We started that one, it was 82 degrees. And by the time we finished it, it was maybe 86. And really, she cut off epoxying at 84, so in Fahrenheit. So it got a little bit warm. But right now, it's cool enough today that I think we can do another mullion after lunch. That'd be good because I leave only 2 to go. And so after this one, we got 3 little piggies. The center ones. And those are the easiest ones. We did the hardest ones most recently here. This is the last of the hard ones. The center ones are easier to get to because they're not over any gaps and holes and cupboards, and they're smaller than these ones are, so just a little easier. So I tell myself, all right, another stone column, because basalt is stone. It's volcanic rock spun into a weave. It's a little stronger than regular fiberglass is. Some things I don't really need this to be stronger, but these mullions here, we might take impacts of water here. We want these things strong as they can be, because we certainly don't want to cave in our front of our boat. All right, peel ply. But first, glove change. We go through a lot of gloves. Blown out, I don't know how many on this one mullion here, but I believe we've gone through, I'll have to get an official count, but maybe 5,000 pairs so far. Somewhere either 5,000 or 6,000. I'll look in our. The Admiral tracks everything. And there'll come a day when we'll go over all of the costs down to every glove, every bottle of alcohol, not the kind you drink, every gallon of alcohol, and sandpaper, all the consumables plus everything else, and we'll have a complete breakdown of what it cost us to the penny to build SV Lynx. And the unders have it at 9 bangings of my head on there and there. So I made it 3 under the guess. So what we're doing now is we're glassing our tube in over here. I've already put a secondary cove in. We put one to glue it in, and then I put another layer over the top of that just now. And now we're gonna put some glass on here. We're using Basalt. Why? Because we had scraps left over from doing the Mullions, and the scraps work fine for what we're doing, so we'll be a little extra strong for no apparent reason. Because we had it, might as well use it. But I haven't got much to do here. I just got to get this one side wrapped around. Oh, it's all set. We're not using peel ply in here because we're never going to be in here again. So no real reason for it. But we're wrapped around the whole tube. And there are epoxy coves in through this stuff that this comes right up to on either side. So it's all glued on this end, and then it's wrapped around on that side. Down on the bottom, it goes from the bottom up the sides. So there's 3 layers of Basalt holding that in. That tube should never move again. And with that, it really is lunchtime, because I said it's lunchtime upstairs, but then I checked the clock and we still had some time to go, so we got this done. Now we'll go to lunch. Get to a mullion after lunch. So working on the center mullion right now, and the reason we skipped one over is because that one's still setting up. We didn't want to bump it, and then when we go to the other one, we won't be near this one. It's a sort of momentous day. We're doing our last 2 mullions, thank heavens. So we're gonna get these things glassed in today, and then, oh, we're done. I never thought we'd get there. At least after the first day when it took so long to do the first one, and we're looking at these going, oh my gosh, we gotta go all the way around. Well, we've gone all the way around except for these 2. They've already been sanded this morning. Brian's cleaning them up right now, ready for glassing. We've already cut all the glass. We did that back when it was one of those 101 days when we couldn't do anything else. Remember those long distance past 101 was 4 days ago, and now it rained last night. So again, this weather still doesn't know what it's doing. It just keeps going back and forth between cloudy, rainy, and blistering hot. But today, it's not going to rain, and it's overcast, and the temperatures are nice for epoxy work. So we're going to get these last 2 done and finally move on to something new. So off we go with that. Let the fun begin. We got our first layer on of our penultimate glassing. $2 word. We'll help you help me smooth it in a moment. So what happens here is we put this up and it doesn't want to stick, so try pushing it. We try to get the air out of it. It'll stick once we get all the air out. If it's any air, it falls right off. Yeah. So just try to, doesn't matter where it is so much as just get it stuck. We can move it around a little bit.
It's amazing what an extra pair of hands helps with.
It does matter. Somebody to stick it up there with us.
Because we can get it up there, but then we can't move our hands.
Yeah,
To
you gotta
smooth it.
like hold it to.
Yeah, the one over there we did the other day, I had to take it up and down 4 times, completely on and off,
Really?
trying to get that thing to stay.
Yeah.
And we'd get it, and then it wouldn't be centered right.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, we can't move it that much. We can move it a little, but. Okay, so now we got to just make sure that there's no bubbles anywhere, which mostly this is good already. And every time you take bubbles out, it pulls it away from the edge, of course.
Yep.
And once we get it to this stage, I'll just
Okay, there we
roll
go.
it out.
Now all this stuff, all this gets faired.
Oh, yeah.
The whole inside of the boat.
Everything.
Yeah.
There's no green that doesn't get faired.
Yeah.
So that's the big process that's about to start. We sort of started already because we started on the roof.
Yeah.
But the interior we haven't begun yet. We are going to start that maybe as soon as this week,
Yeah.
because I want to do the ceiling. I want to fair this ceiling that we're looking at
Inside
right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason for that is I don't want to build the furniture and have to get a heavy sander up and reach across with it. So I want to be able to walk
yeah.
in here and sand this before we get the furniture in the way. I don't want painting over it, furniture. I mean, we cover it with tarp, but then you just a roller, you know. But
Yeah.
a big 7-8 pound sander,
Yeah.
it's hard to stretch your arms out and do that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to fair the top of this roof right away.
Yeah.
I'm not saying paint it, but fair it.
Yeah.
And the things that were holding that up were primarily the mullions, because you can see they go onto the ceiling.
Sure. Yeah.
So I couldn't
Gotta have
fair
all
it
that done. Yeah.
until we got there. All right, so we're almost, we're more than halfway down.
Yeah. Put your hand right in the middle of here.
So we know where the middle is, because you're going to try to center that right here. The penultimate is done. Now we get to the ultimate. And that'll be today. And we'll be happy when it's done. Promise you. Very, very happy. I said we're going to lunch. I lied. Because we checked what time it was, and it was only 10 a.m. And we got that one done so fast, because we had a third person here with John, that we decided we're going to do the ultimate last bullion and then go celebrate lunch. So here we go. Where's my epoxy? There it is. Let's get it done. That'll be a fun lunch then, because I won't have to think about coming back to do another mullion. All right, so we've got our cove in, and filled a little bit of a gap right here in one of these boards, just a tiny gap. And now we're gonna get rolling with 7 layers of basalt and 1 layer of peel ply. And we'll be done with all 13 of these monsters. Boy, have I wanted to be finished. I just tapped my epoxy. All right, so I'll take this 2 corners, and what we're gonna do is go right on this edge right here first. All right, John, so that means that when the front caves in, right here,
That's right.
you'll be to blame,
That's right.
because you helped on this one. Damn, John.
Just as you're going down.
Of course, I'll forget that I was helping too. And,
Yeah. Let me see, who taught him how?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, wait.
Wait, that wasn't me. Moved on, which I like. We're working on the kick-up rudder box again, and so what we're doing is we're gluing on dummy coves that will go on here, so that later there'll be one along the bottom and top as well. So that later we can glue the back on. We have something to glue to besides foam. So we'll be putting these dummy coves on here right now. We just cleaned it and sanded it and made sure it all fit. Brian is up mixing for us right now. This is the end piece. We don't want to glue this yet, so we're just using it to get the forms in the right place. So what we're going to do is take a piece of peel ply that we've already pulled off of some other green piece, still useful to us, that we keep this stuff. And we're just going to put a piece of peel ply here. Thank you. I'm having peel ply difficulties. All right, we'll use that as a template for the other one. Okay, so we're going to put these pieces of peel ply, and we're going to do that right now. So we need, you can help me with this, John, we're going to need clamps. All right, so let's put this on. Because it's sticking pretty well. I mean, it's not moving at all. Brian's up sanding the cabin top so that we can start fairing that. So you might hear a grinder and sander going on up there. But I was just taking a look at where we're at on our rudder box here, and we didn't want to glue this on yet. It was just here to hold it in place so that we could get these dummy coves glued on. So they looked at it like they came out just fine. So now this is half ready to go. There's two more that we will be eventually gluing on to the top and bottom here to give this a surfaces all the way around to glue to, but we don't want to do this yet. Now the next step is going to be to put the top on. Stop. So that's ready to go on. So we'll glue this on, glue around the top of the piece there. Then I'm going to have to reach in and glass this from the inside blindly here. We decided to do that instead of putting a dummy cove here because it'll be a better, more solid connection if I do that, but of course I have to do it blind, but that's not too bad. There's a lot of stages of this rudder box, and then we got to do it all over again for the starboard side. This is the port. While Brian's up there grinding the cabin top, I'm going to core out the edge of this rudder box opening because this is exposed foam right now and we can't have water getting into here, so we have to seal this with thickened epoxy, so that means I have to core it. Fortunately, this is just able to fit in here, so it's going to work. Okay, everything else I'll have to do with the Dremel on the ends here. Might be able to get to this one, let's see. Dremel from here on out. Okay, so it's all cored out now. I was very careful to make sure I got a very clean surface, top and bottom. Don't want water because it's going to be in the water all the time. You know, so we don't want water getting in here. I made a fairly deep core on this one, so we have a lot of epoxy blocking any water ingress into here. So today we'll clean that up and go ahead and fill it with thickened epoxy. We got two jobs going on, as you can see. Ryan's over there filling the hole for the rudder in the port side, the kick-up rudder box, and I'm putting the lid on the kick-up rudder box. It's fairly cool today, as long as you're not standing in the sun, but it's right now it's about 56 degrees Fahrenheit, Celsius, and it's only going to get to low 70s, mid 70s at the worst, which is again in Celsius. So couldn't ask for a more perfect day, which we were due to get some perfect weather because we've been going through weather hell for the last week. I'm tired of weather hell. I want weather heaven. Okay, so it's all on here now. Make sure that it's the right distance in, smooth along the sides, clamp down this direction so it's a good seal. Take any excess off, particularly inside this tube, because I don't want to have to sand it again, and it fits the other tube. So it looks good. Just like it's supposed to look. All right. So the only thing left on this now, I say the only, but we're going to get to it, is I have to fiberglass the inside of this lid down onto here. And a few other little things. Glue these things on. And then well, that'll be done today. And then we'll get to more work on it tomorrow. The time has come to pull peel ply off of these mullions because we want to get to fairing the roof, and we can't do it with peel ply in our way. So we're going to pull all of these. There we go. Never gonna move again. We used to be able to flex these when they were just foam, but that is now a serious pillar. We'll while I'm working on that one, Brian's over here pulling on another one. We left all this on because we were sanding the beam. We just didn't want to get dust all over here, but now that we're getting ready to fare, it's got to come off. So that's the side. Brian's probably got most of the other side. He's on the last one, so that leaves the front. See how beautiful these columns are coming out. Just wonderful. All right, well, got the peel ply off all of our mullions. And that means we have earned our lunchtime because we've done a bunch of jobs here. When we come back, we're going to get to maybe fairing some of this cabin top. We'll see. We're ready to go. We need to check a few spots, make sure there's nowhere else that we need to sand. We sanded most of it, but we need to feel around everywhere, make sure there's not a single little spot that we don't like. So we'll just feel the whole roof and sand it. If it needs little nubbins, we'll get those off, and then we're ready to fare. It doesn't have to be perfect for fairing, because the fairing's going to go over the top of it, but it does have to not have anything sticking down. So, after lunch. We can't put it off any longer. We are going to start fairing the cabin top. We sanded this yesterday and got this ready for fairing compound. And so it's all smooth enough that we can fare over that now. And we're going to start. We have no idea how far we'll be able to get today. It'll all be how difficult it is to work this with our hands above our head and getting epoxy up here and stuff. I just don't have any idea. We're not going to try to get the whole thing, that's for sure. And we're not going to try to worry about how much we get. We're just going to start in the corner and we're going to move this way, and if we only get 1/6 of this today, then we'll sand the edges and continue on the next day until we get it all done. We'll see how far we get. That's the plan, and like everything we do, we've never faired a ceiling before, so we'll find out how hard it is and how long it takes and see how far we get in the first day. Now, the temperature today is excellent. We're down at about 60 degrees Fahrenheit, that in Celsius. And that means that we don't have to be too concerned about it getting hot in here or the epoxy setting up so fast, that kind of thing. So it gives us a chance today, and tomorrow's going to be cool, to go at a more leisurely pace as we learn what we're doing with it above our head. My biggest concern is actually after we get it, and then pushing my head into our finished epoxy here, because you can see I'm taller than the roof in this section, because again, there's furniture down here and you never walk over here, but the part right now, as we're backing up, I'm going to have to try to keep the wet stuff in front of me and keep backing up this way as I work it instead of going back any. Otherwise, I'm going to put my head into this. And I'm not worried about my head. I'm going to wear a hat, but I'm worried about messing up our work. I don't want to do that. So I'll have to be really careful about this section. Now, as we get further back here in another day, the ceiling isn't going to be a problem for my head, so that won't be any big deal. It's just this first day up there that I have to be concerned. So I got to get this cleaned up now. I just have to wipe it all down with alcohol. Brian's getting epoxy ready right now, and then we're going to get rolling. I just thought, I'm going to run out of battery in a minute, but our goal of this morning was to get to here. So I think we're just going to have 2 more mixes and we'll be there. And that was the goal of the day, but we're only in the morning. We're about to go to lunch, so we'll see if we can't get at least some of the other half of this front portion also done today, and we'll get ahead of things, so that would be great. I wore a mask and such for the first bit we did because I didn't know how much it's going to drop, and I was afraid it was getting in the face, but nothing was a problem with that, so I don't really need to have that on. So I found that if I'm just careful, I don't draw much. And certainly not on my face. Mostly on the ground if I do drop any. Because it's way out in front of me when I'm working it. Like that. I just dropped it a little tiny bit, but it's way down there. I've also discovered that about the time that Brian takes to mix one of these is about how long it takes me to get it applied. So neither one of us is waiting. It's a little bit warmer right now after lunch, but not that much. Right now it's about 71 degrees Fahrenheit, Celsius, and that's plenty good temperature for doing epoxy. So no real issues with temperature. Not even gonna get to 80 today. Tomorrow should be quite a bit easier because we're doing 9 mullion tops today. That only leaves 4 tomorrow, but we have to do the beam as well that goes across as the support beam. So that's not as hard as these corners are, but it is some work. These are far more challenging. I'm not sure that it'll get the rest of this, but looks like about two we'll call it a third. It's a little more than a third, but we'll call it a third. The last section will be a little smaller and won't have any mullions, so these first two, this one is by far the most difficult. Next one will be a little easier, and the last one will be very easy. So, and here's my opinion about doing the fairing above your head on the ceiling up here. It's really not that bad. I get an occasional drip in front of me. I got one on my arm right there, but nothing much. Coming through. Here's my next batch of epoxy coming through. So I'll be working here. Well, actually I'll be working from the mullion over so that I don't put my head in this anywhere. Although I'm much less likely to put my head in this now because it's now above my head everywhere. So as long as I don't have to go in there, which I don't, I should be good from here on out, not whacking my head. But I'll start with the mullion and come across to here, and then we'll do this last little bit in the next mix. There. I've been using this as a mortar board. It's got the peel ply on it. That makes a nice slick surface, so it works very well. And that thumb hole was already something we cut for a test of our tubes over there on this offcut, so worked perfectly for a little mortar board. This little bit right there. Brian should be just about arriving with that, and that'll conclude our phase one of above the head fairing. Now we got a lot more above the head fairing to go on this boat. We've got to do the other side, cockpit side of the same roof. We've got the entire bridge deck underneath, and we've got the hallways. So lots more overhead, but this went so easily that I'm no longer worried about it. Okay, we did it. Got our first third done Saturday, and we are going to try and do the next stripe of the fairing compound onto the cabin top here. And we've got our little larger crew today. We've got Jeff here helping Brian and I. So this is a two-man job because Brian mixes, and at the moment he's done mixing, I start spreading it, and he starts mixing immediately, and then just as I finish, he has the next one ready. So two people work perfectly for doing this. So we decided that we'd have Jeff get to work on some sanding projects. And so he's got 4 different areas of the boat that we need some sanding done, and he's starting up at the bow, and then he's going to go back and work on the rudder box and the opening for the rudder box in the port sugar scoop. But this went really well yesterday, and so this morning we sanded back a bit here just so that it would bond well to the what we already put up here. So that's been sanded and then cleaned all the way from here all the way over. So we're ready to roll, and Brian should be showing up here as we speak. You can see that we mixed our fairing compound a lot thicker doing this sealing. It's much more like a mayonnaise consistency. Excuse me, a peanut butter consistency. Sorry about the noise, that's Jeff down there sanding the bow. We'll get started right up here in the hard spot. The mullion top.
All right, well, it's coming along. Got maybe the first third or so here. We're only going to go to maybe twice this much, but I think that we're moving along so well, I may just try to go all the way across in one shot here. Because it's nice and cool out. It's an overcast day today. And we would have used this overcast day to go work on the rooftop, but there's a 10% chance of rain all day long. So we could drizzle on us up there. And here it doesn't matter because we're covered, but upstairs we can't start putting epoxy on with a chance of drizzle. So that's why we're working down here, or in here, I should say. Brian keeps bringing me more epoxy. He wants my arms to wear out, so he's going to keep it coming. Not working yet. Still going strong. The only thing slows this one up, of course, is doing this beam. It takes a lot more work to get around here, the corners. Not a big deal though. And then we got to fair these 3 layers of glass in, so it takes a little thicker layer coming out. Well, the battery ran out, so we didn't show the last little square of fairing up there, but we did get it done, and we completed our goal of this week of getting 2/3 of this cabin top faired, and we'll get to the other third next week.
Yep, and we got the basalt layers on the mullions, so that's good, and we also did some work on the port side rudder kickoff box.
Yeah, so we got lots of work done, and that made up for a little bit for the lousy week we had last week. But thank you all for spending time with us. This was an extra long video because we got a lot of work done, and if you stuck with it to the end, more power to you. So thanks again for stopping by.
And also thank you to our patrons listed here. We could not do this project without you guys, and we appreciate you so much. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and click on the bell icon to be notified of our next video.
Which we will probably be working on the port sugar scoop area since we have the rudder box just about done. We're going to start working that into maybe installing it. So see you next week for that.
Bye.